Good morning, and thank you for joining us for the Legume Systems Innovation Lab Global Convening. My name is Augustine Obour. Today, I would like to share with you some of the work that we're doing in Senegal, looking at sustainable intensification of dual-purpose cowpea varieties for enhanced food and fodder in Senegal. This is a research collaboration between Kansas State University and ISRA in Senegal. Here at K-State, the co-PIs of this project include myself, Dr. Vera Prasad, and Dr. Don Min. In Senegal, the work is being led by Dr. Ali Fayel at ISRA. The focus area for this study is the Senegalese peanut basin. We are looking at three different environments with different precipitation gradients. We are looking at the Loga region, the Diobel, and the Kafri region. This is in close proximity to the Feed the Future zone of influence. These three locations also houses major production of cowpea in Senegal. And we also have ISRA facilities close by in this region. Cowpea is an important legume crop, well adapted to the semi-arid regions of West Africa. Unfortunately, yields are very low, ranging about 400 kilograms per hectare. Over the years, there have been a lot of efforts looking at breeding for dual-purpose cowpea varieties. These dual-purpose cowpea varieties have greater forage yield and grain yields. They stay green at maturity, and with that, it increases the forage quality and also increases forage availability, which is very important for these cropping systems where we have both livestock and crops being kept on the same farm. The overall goal of this project is to look at how we can sustainably intensify agro-pastoral systems and increase adoption of high-yielding dual-purpose cowpea. And we're also looking at developing agronomic management practices that will support the adoption of these cowpea varieties. We have two main objectives. The first one is to evaluate dual-purpose benefits of cowpea varieties to increase both forage and fodder quality and quantity. We are also looking at conducting a trade-off assessment for cowpea markets, with particular focus on trade-offs and synergies between grain and forage production in areas that are traditional pastoral compared to areas that traditionally grow cowpeas. In terms of methods, we are using the mother-baby trial. We have genotype by environment by management studies, and then we also have cowpea variety studies that are being conducted at three locations in Senegal. We are looking at Bambay, Bole, and Ramusi. The genotype by environment by management trials have a split plot arrangement of treatments. We have the main plots are two cropping systems, intercropping of cowpea and millet, and monocropping of cowpea or millet. Then we have 10 cowpea varieties, which includes 5 new release of varieties of Leona, Chain, Kaylee, Lizard, and Sam. And we also looking at older varieties. And we also looking at 5 fertilizer treatments, which includes no fertilizer, 30 kilogram phosphorus per hectare apply alone, or 30 kilogram phosphorus, nitrogen, and potassium. We also looking at 15-15 NPK, and then the final treatment is 2.5 tons per hectare manure in combination with 30 kilograms NPK. The cowpea variety trials are also being done at the 3 locations. We have 5 new cowpea varieties. We have 2 older varieties, Yasin and Malik. Then we have 6 dual-purpose varieties that has been released some time ago. Then we have 7 dual-purpose or forage type varieties that we got from UC Riverside. Then we have 2 fertility levels that we are considering in the cowpea variety trials too. This is the field layout of the experiment plots in 2021. On my left is the field layout for the cowpea variety trials, and then on the right is the field layout of the genotype by environment by management studies. This is some of the data from the genotype by management by environment trials that were conducted in 2021. Here we are showing grain yields and fodder yields of cowpea varieties that are average across the 2 cropping systems and the fertilizer treatments. The purple bar is data from Boale, the light green bar is data from Bombay, and the dark green bar is the data from Ramusi. As you can see from here, grain yields were significantly greater in Bombay than the two other locations. In 2021 and also in 2020, we're seeing consistent increases in grain and fodder yields from the dual purpose cowpea varieties like Chain and Leona compared to Yasin. Also, forage yields were significantly greater for these dual purpose cowpea varieties compared to the local variety Yasi. Here we are showing grain yields and forage yields from the 5 fertilizer treatments that were imposed on the cropping system study. This is average across the 2 cropping systems. Here also we have the purple bar is Berlin, the light green bar is data from Bombay, and the dark green bar is data from Ramusi. As you can see, both grain yields and fodder yield were significantly greater with our fertilizer treatments at Bombay and Berlin. And one thing that I want to point out here is even though we saw an increase in yields with fertilizer treatment, the highest yields were obtained where we applied 2 tons of manure per hectare in combination with 30 kilograms nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. This is very significant because in this environment, the soil organic matter levels are very low. So applying manure helped to actually increase the fertilizer use efficiency. When we apply phosphorus alone, we didn't see that much response compared to the control. I also like to point out that we didn't see any fertilizer response at the Ramusi, either for grain yield or for fodder yield. And this is because of the very low soil organic matter content of the soils at this environment. This is data from total grain yield from comparing total grain yields for intercropping millet and cowpea or monocropping cowpea or millet. At both locations, Bombay, Bole, or Ramusi, we saw significant yield reduction when cowpea was planted intercropping with millet. However, when we combine the grain yields or fodder yields of cowpea and millet together, the total is significantly greater than the monocropping cowpea. Even in Ramusi, we saw about 200% increase in total yields for the intercropping versus the monocrop cowpea. So what this means is that we can grow these crops in an intercropping systems and still have very significant yields compared to when we grow it as a monocrop cowpea. This is data from the variety trials at Berlin. Here, the blue bar represent where we did not apply any fertilizer, and the orange bars are where we apply 15 kilogram nitrogen, 30 kilogram phosphorus, and 30 kilogram potassium. On the x-axis is our cowpea varieties. Here, as you can see, we saw a significant response to fertilizer application for each of the varieties, except Yasin. Forage yields also increase, significant increase with fertilizer application. We've seen varieties like Leona, Kelly, and one of the varieties that we got from UC Riverside, EBC4, did very well in terms of grain production. In terms of forage production, we see one of the varieties from UC Riverside, 6635F, doing very, very well in terms of the total forage production. And it shows that this variety will actually be a forage type, not a dual purpose variety. Similarly to Boale, this is data from Bombay. We're still seeing a significant response to fertilizer application in terms of both grain yield and fodder yield. Here again, variety 6635 tends to produce significant biomass compared to all the other varieties. But grain yields are very, very low, showing that this variety is particularly good for fodder production, and it may be a forage type that can be grown compared to using it as a dual purpose variety. Once again, we saw an increase in grain and fodder yield for varieties like Leona, which is a dual purpose variety. In 2021, we also started the mother-baby trials. Here we are looking at performance of these dual-purpose varieties on producer fields. We are comparing 3 dual-purpose varieties with Yacine, and we also have 2 fertilizer levels. We randomly selected 25 producers to participate on these baby trials. These are from about 85 total farmers from each location. So each location, we have 25 farms where we are doing these baby trials. We help these farmers select the varieties, and we also help them, we train them on how to plant these dual purpose varieties in these experiments. Here is some data from the baby trials in Bombay. Here, the purple bar is no fertilizer, and the dark green bar is where we apply fertilizer at the recommended rate. The x-axis is our cowpea varieties. As you can see, both grain and fodder yields with Leona and Chain, which are dual purpose variety, was significantly greater than Yacine. And we also saw a significant response to fertilizer application for both fodder and grain yield. This is data from Boale. Here again, we've seen a significant response to fertilizer application. Yacine produced significantly less grain and forage yields than Leona and Chain. This is data from the Ramusi. Here too, we saw an increase in grain and forage yields with our dual purpose varieties, Leona and Chain, compared to Yacine. Unfortunately, we did not see that much response to fertilizer application compared to the other 2 locations. And this is because the soils at the Ramusi are highly depleted with very low soil organic matter content. But here we still saw an increase in yields with the dual purpose cowpea varieties. One thing that we also did was to look at the adoption rate for these dual purpose cowpea varieties across the 3 locations. What we saw was significant adoption of dual purpose cowpea at Bombay, about 48%, compared to 20% in Ramusi and 32% in Kafrin. And this is possibly due to several factors. Notable among them is access to information and proximity to ISRA facilities. Bombay has an ISRA facility, and these farmers have access to information. We also saw that the uses of cowpea varieties determine the adoption of whether they are going to use these dual purpose cowpea varieties or they will stick with the local varieties. This graph shows the use of cowpea varieties at each of these locations. In the Ramusi area, which is the Cabina area, most of these cowpea are sold to the market. And it shows that possibly there's some preference for these older varieties because of the seed color or the taste to consumers. That is why they are now adopting the dual purpose cowpea varieties. However, in Bombay, most of the cowpeas are used for animal feeding. And here, the adoption rate of dual purpose is about 48% because biomass is very important when you are feeding these dual purpose cowpea varieties. So that's why we're seeing high adoption of dual purpose cowpea varieties in Bombay than the other locations. Human capacity building is a major component of this project. We are helping train graduate students in dryland cropping systems. We have one MA student in Senegal, Mr. Ndiaye, who is working on Masters in Agronomy. We also have another student enrolled in Agricultural Economics, Mr. Omar Douaf, who is looking at the socioeconomic aspects of this project. We also have one postdoctoral associate, Dr. Aplo, who is working with us on this project. We also have a lot of scientific exchanges of information on dryland cropping system research with scientists at ISRA. We also have women involvement in the baby trials where we are helping train them on management practices to improve production from these dual-purpose cowpea varieties. We have 6 undergraduate students helping with the baseline data collection. They are also all being trained on how to use these dual-purpose cowpea varieties and also agronomic management practices for improving yields from these dual-purpose cowpea varieties. The mother-baby trials helps in capacity building, especially for extension agents, and also directly training these producers. These are some pictures from some of the field trials this year. Here is a farmer looking at dual-purpose cowpea varieties, Leona, how it's performing compared to Yasin on his farm. We would like to thank USAID for funding this project and the Legume System Innovation Lab for supporting this research. Thank you very much for listening. I'll be very happy to answer any questions that you have.